How are we really doing? That's the question from an economic perspective. How are we really doing? Do you know? So I watched a very, very interesting Glenn Beck show today. And I want to encourage all of my fellow conservatives, for sure. But if you're a liberal and you really want to understand the financial situation of where the United States of America sits today, and really know truth, not a bunch of propaganda from anyone in the United States, this is what you need to go look at. You need to go look at the growth numbers around the world to really understand where America is and the comeback that is right in front of us if we don't panic. You see, what the Democrats did with this shutdown is they have completely destroyed one very important factor in economics, and that's jobs. Eliminating redundancy and eliminating our government, what our government spends, has to happen. There's no way our economy and our budget and our deficit will ever be reduced unless we reduce the size of our government. There's no other solution, people. So the shutdown of the jobs has skewed those numbers, and that's what the Democrats wanted. They wanted to skew the numbers because then the numbers look bad for Trump, that he's not doing what he said he was going to do and address the economy. But they're wrong, and they're misleading you because they're leaving out a very important piece of this puzzle, and that is on the world stage, which we have to be part of the world economic stage because we live in the world. And Trump keeps saying, you know, we're bringing in all this money and we're doing really well. And he's telling you the truth. When you compare what is happening in the United States of America today, there's only one other country in the world that is even close to the United States, and that is Spain. Europe is in complete decline, starting with Germany, France, England, another Scandinavian country. They're in serious, total, almost complete failure. Now, in anything in life, when there's a complete collapse, whether it's your own household, whether it's a burned building, whether it's your health, whether it's a family situation, I don't care what it is, there is a crisis, right? You go through a crisis, and it's a downtime. It's a downtime. There's pain. There's pain. But then on the other side of that pain is recovery. And that's where we need to focus our attention. Yes, it hurts right now. Look at what we have to fix. Go and really look at the amount of problems that we have to fix. Housing, student loans, the young people not finding jobs, AI. I mean, it is just astounding. And most importantly, the unbelievable devastation created by the Biden-Harris Democratic leadership for 4 years. It can't happen overnight. It's impossible for it to happen overnight. President Trump should have said, we're going to turn it around, but it's going to take time. Instead of saying, we're immediately going to turn it around, because the ignorance of the left took him literally. We're going to turn it around. You said you were going to turn it around by the end of January. That's their only prayer. That is their mantra. That is what they make every single decision on, is that one thing. And as long as they can every single day say, he's not doing it, they're going to continue to brainwash Americans. And those Americans are going to get so frustrated and so disenfranchised and discouraged, they're going to turn to people like Mendami. They don't talk about what's right on the other side of this amazing opportunity that the great country of America has if we stay the course and we let what is currently happening see to fruition. The amount of money in this country that has been generated in 9 months is historic. You can't truly understand what's going on in the country and in our economy unless you, as a private citizen, go and listen to people who criticize both sides. Megyn Kelly, Glenn Beck. Those are the two big ones right off the top of my head. Because they call it out when it has to be called out. They call Trump out when he has to be called out. They ask the hard questions. They also tell you, the American public, the truth. So do you really want to understand where this country is? You need to go and you need to understand where the rest of the world is and how far ahead the United States of America is compared to the closest country, and that is Spain. Everybody else, if I was living in any other country in the world, I would be terrified that my life as I know it is soon to finish, and I would have to leave because they're not going to be able to sustain. Nobody else is talking about this. Thank you, Glenn Beck, for talking about it. You need to go watch his show. Glenn Beck warns of 3 economic outcomes that could change everything. You want to understand what is truly going on? You need to go watch that video. You can see it on YouTube. It's amazing, it's factual, and he hasn't always been a supporter of Donald Trump. I haven't always been a supporter of Donald Trump. But if we don't allow Trump to finish what he started, we're going to be in the same boat as France, Canada, Scandinavia, England, Germany, with no future. Because it's not going to be fixed in 1 year what Biden and Harris and the Democrats have done over the last 15 years. We've only had 4 years that have not been controlled by the Democrats. 4 years. At the end of this year, it'll be 5. In the last 16 years. So you want to know who has created the problem? They've certainly had more power than the Republicans have. And this is not a turnaround that can happen even in 4 years. This has to have 2, 3 back-to-back Republican presidents in order for the American way of life to return to what we are used to back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, if you exclude the crash that took place in the oil industry. Go educate yourself. Understand what is really going on. And compare where we are today to the rest of the world economic stage. It's an eye-opener. And thank you, Glenn Beck, for providing such great information.